Most important thing is to start off with a good brisket. Maybe a local country butcher is not going to be able to help you out so much with this one, because the old school Australian brisket is just the big flap. Normally they would do like a rolled roast or something with that. But what you want is a brisket, a good brisket, point end, point on. Sometimes they're called packer briskets. But anyway, it might look like this. We're gonna open it up. We're gonna trim a little bit of this fat off, but we are gonna leave a little bit of fat on as well because it does help in the cooking process. So we'll just crack on with that, hey? So firstly, we'll just take some of the thinner side flaps off, even it out a little bit. These bits you'll use for mince it up for your burgers or your sausages. You can put it in a stew, make a little stew for when Nana comes over, because she doesn't like barbecue, but that's fine. You still love her because she's your Nana, and everyone loves their Nana. There you go. So it's a little bit more squared off. You can see we'll just this fat. We'll just take a little bit off. We'll ideally, well, you know what? When I say ideally, that might be the next man's absolutely hated way of doing it. So I will tell you that everyone has their own way of cooking their brisket, which is fine. That's okay. There are more than one way. There are more than one way. There is more than one way to skin a cat, as there is more than one way to cook a brisket. This is how I do it. If your neighbour does it differently and he says I'm dumb, that's fine as well. Maybe he knows me and actually knows I'm dumb. So there's a big fat vein down here. I'm just gonna take a little extra of that out, but not so much of what sits on here, because I like the little bit of moistness it gives to that bit of the flat there. So that's pretty close to how I'd do it for a home cook. Have a little look. If there's any massive bits of fat on the bottom, you can take a little bit off, but generally it's good, and not really fussed about it because it all actually renders out quite nicely. So that is our brisket. And now we're going to really quickly season that up with your favourite brisket rub. Whatever you've got, whatever you love will be good here, I guarantee it. Now that she's all seasoned up, I'm going to get her into the barbecue, the smoker. With our smoker, we'll end up having, 6 or 7 or 8 briskets in there today. So I won't worry about a water pan, but maybe if you're doing it at home with just one brisket, you might want to put a water pan in just for a little added moisture. So yeah, 250F, 125 Celsius. I'm just I like to put the fat end up the back, just because there's always a bit more heat up there to sort it out. And that's about it. We get the lid back on it. The lid? That's not a lid. We close the door, you silly bugger. Close the door. And then we're going to let that be for, 4 hours, I reckon. All right. It's 4 hours later. We're going to wrap this, and then we'll give it another 3 or 4 hours. Beauty, close up. So we're going to fast forward to a time where our brisket is cooked. So just to recap, there was 3 to 4 hours of straight heat at 250F, which is about 125 Celsius, until it's got a bit of colour. Then we're going to wrap it, or You could boat it at that time, which is just like an alfoil tray will do the trick. Or you can sort of roll your alfoil up and tuck it in like a nice little, what's it gonna look like? It's gonna look like a fat man in a kid's wading pool. You know what I mean? Like the brisket will come out, the wading pool will be around the edge. And then it's gonna go back into the barbecue for another 3 to 4 hours normally. But in saying that, sometimes it's gonna be 5 hours. But you'll get the gist of it the more you do things. It's intuitive. The more you cook them, the more you will get better at them. So now we're going to take it out. We're going to slice it up, and yeah, then you just slice it up and eat it. That's pretty simple maths. And now our brisket's out. We're going to know that's ready. It's going to probe tender. It's got a nice jiggle on there, or with the thermometer, you want it to be around 200 F or 95 Celsius. So it's a nice juicy brisket. At the point end here, we're going to turn it around because the grain changes direction. Slice that bit opposite, that bit normal, and then take a look at what you've done. Filthy white bread. Nice little bit of brisket. A couple of pickles. This is my favourite little sandwich. It might be your favourite little sandwich. You might hate it, but whatever, we can still be friends. A little bit of jalapeno, a little bit of onion, a little bit of your favourite barbecue sauce, and then this like white trash taco, I like to call it. Absolutely perfect. This is really good. Thank you.